Hi, this is Deadman. If you're watching this video, I assume you're old enough to see gore, violence, swearing, and general adult content. If you aren't old enough, come back with some ID. Or a fake one.
Don't fight. You have been chosen. Behold. Everything has already been written. But perhaps you will attempt to change your destiny.
I hate whiskey.
First thing I love is most games would say, press any button or key to continue, but this game says enter madness. Looking at the main menu increases your insanity meter by flashing odd images and having that creepy yet awesomely eerie main menu score. Of course we can't start a Call of Cthulhu game off without some ominous sounds and an equally ominous quote. That's a horrible sight to wake up to if you want to keep your insanity meter at absolute zero. That's, better? The sudden shift is worrisome, but at least you aren't surrounded by rotting marine life. A nice addition to crouching is your camera isn't just moving down, your camera moves as if you were actually crouching by lurching forward and then settling down. When shifting through the menu options, you can ever so slightly see the word shift to something, then shift right back like nothing ever happened. I think the game itself actively tries to make you insane. Ah, good old lamp. Perfect for staving off the insanity. Oh, nice! Murder prophecies that may or may not have happened. Nobody knows for sure since we're all insane. That's okay. I didn't need to sleep ever again. The cool thing about drinking in here is if you do it even once, it locks you out of an ending. I love when things are designed around what you do rather than any binary ending.
I'm calling because of a problem with your file. A fire has destroyed some of our documents.
Is that right?
I'm so very sorry, but I have to collect your personal information yet again.
That's as good of an excuse as any to assign your skill points. I also love the skills in here. Depending on what you actually put points into, you can make certain aspects of your detective work much easier.
Sir, I came here on the advice of a person whom I hold in high esteem, and I must say that I expected anything but a drunkard's lair.
Well, if you didn't want a drunk PI, you should have gone to a different story, bub.
What am I supposed to find?
Tell me if this is the work of madness.
Cthulhu is in the title of the game, so yes, everything is madness.
What's this symbol on the man's chest? It's as if Sarah Hawkins breathed a message into it.
I absolutely love that Call of Cthulhu really leans in on the detective work. The game has no waypoints, no indication on what you're supposed to be doing, except the detective work you put in.
So, Mr. Pierce, what do you make of these elements?
Along with the detective work, you get to choose how you question people and what additional information you can get from them.
Thank you, Mr. Pierce. I didn't expect any less coming from a man in your situation.
Rude?
Something's queer. But it's not like I have a choice.
I'm digging using a word as it properly should be and not a slur. I also like that there's some skills you need to read books or notes to get a skill point in.
I used to be an avid reader.
Me too, buddy. When you take certain actions, you get the ominous message of, "This will affect your destiny," which is, ominous. Especially for something as innocent as taking a drink. I love a delayed title card.
A sad story that we would all prefer to forget.
If the Eldritch Gods have anything to say about it, you'll absolutely forget, since you'll have no mind to speak of. There's a mental trauma section in your journal to remind you of the horrors you've seen.
Hey, be careful.
Rude.
Let's get him another drink. He's dry.
Politeness.
I didn't expect to find alcohol on this island. What's the source of this miracle?
You mean who? Our source of supply wouldn't like me to betray them to the first comer.
I'll tell nobody.
She'd know it anyway.
Loyalty by threat of a horrible death.
That catch saved our island.
Where's the proof?
We're the proof.
Without it, the whole of Darkwater would have died of hunger in 1847.
It's true. Everything happened just as it says in the newspaper report. Our grandparents tasted its flesh.
And it was delicious.
That, kids, is how you get brainwashed by an eldritch horror.
Charles Hawkins was a heavy drinker. And a debtor. Interesting.
I mean, if my wife painted the Shambler, I'd be a heavy drinker too.
I can't answer that.
You can't? Or you don't want to?
Oh, no. I'm not getting into those games, me.
Knowing when the PI will likely bamboozle you.
I've got to enter the Hawkins warehouse. I guess it's going to be complicated.
No, it's very simple, in fact. Fuck off. I don't want to end up with her little knife under my throat.
It's a stiletto, you idiot.
I mean, that is what a stiletto is.
I've got to get inside. It's your boss who sent me.
Oh, yeah? And why didn't she say anything to us?
She sent me to see who's filching her stock.
I don't know what you're talking about.
You got no proof to back up your claims, and I'd advise you against snitching.
Looks like Edward rolled a 1 on his bluff.
Smoke. It's coming from this oil. Smells harmless, but should I beware of psychotropic effects?
Kinda makes you question whether any of this is actually happening. How about you don't? You can enter a detective mode and observe your surroundings and really piece together anything that had happened in an area. On top of that, you can see sort of smoky after images that really nail down the visuals of what happened.
Officer Bradley, you've finally grown a pair. Too bad you're too fat to see them down there. Come on, keep the smile. You don't want to force me to widen it.
A threat of giving someone a Glasgow smile is sure to give you goosebumps. I love the sweeping downward shot of this camera, like you might see in any horror movie involving a creepy mansion.
I see no scorched trees or fire damage on the building.
You're pretty damn observant, ain't you?
Kinda? Well, it is my job after all.
Whoa!
That's a hell of a way to introduce yourself.
This piano is in disrepair. Looks like the Hawkins kept it more for decoration than for music.
Shame. Shame.
There's something disturbing about this painting.
Trust me, buddy, that's probably the least disturbing painting in this game.
Barbiturates. Sarah Hawkins must have been extremely agitated resorting to such a treatment.
The presence of all the eldritch horrors would drive anyone to have a dependency on them, I'd imagine. How about you don't?
Simon's troubles went beyond family problems. That kid saw something. Something terrified him.
I'll take a guess and say the Shambler, but who knows honestly. Finding a painting of yourself in a house you've never been to, in a town you've never stepped foot in, on an island you've never thought about is hella spooky. All of the lamps looking smoky definitely help set the spooky atmosphere.
The secret passage, under the manor. It's like a detective novel.
You best start believing in ghost stories, Miss Turner. You're in one.
The caverns below the Hawkins Mansion are appropriately spooky with the green lighting and tense atmosphere. Oh, fun. We are in a spoopy vision from the beginning.
I have constant visions. I am ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Having to sneak around the cultists is definitely nerve-wracking as you can't fight back.
Dead? This ritual killed him. Where's the sense in that?
Clearly Edward hasn't been in a cult before.
You asked for it!
When Charles Terminator stalks towards you and isn't being put down by bullets, I highly suggest GTFOing.
Charles, you shouldn't have seen this.
Okay, now it's really time to GTFO.
Light. At last.
That's about right.
Prepare another soft coin, Jackson.
I don't know what's going on, but how about we don't?
You were dead. He killed you.
Are you sure he's better?
Seeing Bradley alive after being impaled is definitely making me question my sanity.
What happened to me? Where am I?
I'd say waking up in a padded cell is not a good way to be waking up, but it beats being in that damned cave, so...
They tracked and hunted me, pursued me right into their dreams. They scribbled all over their maps in the wake of my lonely wanderings.
Leviathan speaking to us in our dreams, the altered reality, whatever's going on, is definitely creepy and helps unsettle Edward as well as the player.
But the earth will resound to your cries, or theirs. Awaken and free me.
I'm gonna have to pass. Supernatural prison breaks aren't my thing. Having to sneak through the asylum is somehow more terrifying than the cultists. I think it's because I know what's up with the cultists, whereas with the people in the asylum, I just don't know with them.
Who goes there?
How about you don't?
If you plan on having dinner at the Sanders household, please spare the widow the tale of her late husband's suffering.
I don't agree. She deserves the truth.
But that truth may be biased. We don't know the bottom of it.
I'm inclined to agree with Colden. She should be made aware of her husband's death, just not his suffering.
Our paths crossed, briefly. The brave detective has a talent for sticking his nose into my business.
I bump into her every time I'm investigating someone's death.
It's a small island, Detective. My island. It's better that it's you bumping into me.
Burn followed by a thinly veiled threat.
I expected to find you more grief-stricken than this by the death of your husband.
I do not like the tone of your allusion, sir. I had long months to weep every tear in my body, and to accept, if not my fate, at least that of my husband. And so I'm sorry to disappoint you if you're expecting more hysteria and grieving widow in my voice. Rest assured, however, my anger is real.
Got him! Got him!
That does not bode well. Anything that makes you tear your eyes out is definitely a hard no.
That's twice you've stepped on my toes, Detective. Try not to make a habit of it.
I've got a lot of bad habits.
Flirting?
A choice that comes down to Fitzroy and me. And I'm far more pleasant, wouldn't you say?
Agreed. Plus, you don't seem to be insane like everyone else.
Not now, sweetheart. I'd like to read this without some snoop looking over my shoulder.
Shh, it's making noise.
The man transformed an entire wing of his manor into an art gallery.
Honestly, there's some really good art pieces in here, and that's win-worthy. Okay, so full disclosure, up until this point, I was a little disappointed the game hadn't gone full-on make me so terrified I needed my brown pants levels of scary. But this? The section where you have to hide from the Shambler is fantastic. It's blind, so it can't see you, but if you look at it, your heart starts racing and it hears you. If you run, it hears you. When you break the glass to get the dagger to stab the painting, it hears you. Also, yeah, in order to beat it, you don't fight the Shambler itself, but the painting. A lot of wins for this tense section that I love. I love it when the Shambler gets transported back into the painting. It almost looks like it's melting.
What's the matter with you?
That's a giant. Nope.
You didn't say anything.
I saw you within an inch of putting a dagger through your forearm. Did I miss something more interesting?
Yes. Much more interesting. Terrifying, but interesting.
Think yourself lucky that I saved your hand, even if it was to save my goods.
You mean me?
Don't flatter yourself, sweetheart. I'm talking about the contents of this gallery.
I love how Kat is being totally sexist and dismissing Edward by calling him sweetheart. That's ominous. Yeah, opening up the Necronomicon is generally not a good idea.
A man has been brought up from the basement.
I saw him, yes. It's always the same thing. They bring them up without any explanation, with a multitude of self-inflicted injuries. We take care of the wounds and then they leave. Each time, I feel like I'm sending them back to hell.
Considering what all is going on, that's not far from the truth.
Ah, now that's the Marie that I know. I knew I could count on your scientific curiosity. It's time to show you what you were so eager to discover.
And it's always a bummer when a good person has to die. The horror sting sound in Call of Cthulhu is infinitely more creepy than regular strings. Good job on terrifying the hell out of me, Cyanide Studios.
No! No! My God, what is happening to me?
That's a huge nope. This section is by far the most tense and terrifying for me. You're going through the hospital, finding runes with your lamp, and progressing on. If you take too long, the Shambler finds you and... well, I'm sure I don't need to spell it out for you.
It looks like things are back to normal.
Yeah. For now. The door changes, a woman starts singing, and there's an endless hallway. I need a first-class ticket of noping the hell out of here.
Damnation. That's me.
Oh, God!
Yeah, that perspective shift isn't what you want to see. It's legitimately terrifying, and I'd probably have a panic attack, too.
Was it a hallucination?
That's like 90% of the game, Pierce.
What in God's name? Sarah.
Finding out Sarah is alive is as much of a mind-bender as anything in here.
I did everything I could to protect her, but her identity, her power, is what threatens her.
Oh, at least he tried to help.
This is the amulet that Drake was looking for.
Let's call this foreboding foreshadowing.
This story is going to end badly.
Precognizance.
Mr. Pierce, the truth seeker, we meet at last.
Who's there?
Oh, that's a big nope.
Hey! You can't leave us!
Sorry, old friend, but it's either you or me.
No! What are you... No! Open! Open up! Open this door! It's here.
Rude. Finding the glyphs and removing them to make the Shambler powerless is tense, especially when he pops out of nowhere and starts chasing you. I love using your wits to outsmart the creature rather than brute force. It also makes for a hell of a spectacle.
Did our guest enjoy our hospitality?
I had a movie to watch, so it wasn't too bad.
I'm turning, Pierce, into one of those things.
No! Keep fighting it, Bradley.
It's too late. You have to end this. Do it. Kill me.
This honestly sucks. Officer Bradley has been a good friend up until this point, and the best choice is to end his suffering and make sure he doesn't turn into a thrall under Leviathan. This time, your detective vision becomes super spooky.
And when they found me, they ate my flesh. And my flesh granted them powers and revelations.
It's kind of cool that it's not just some unknown source driving Darkwater mad, but it's the actual ingesting of eldritch flesh. Boy, it sure does look good, though.
The most precious gift of all. The truth. The ultimate truth about life. If I prove only to resurrect life, that it will only be a matter of time before I know how to create it.
Well, I'm sure you all know what the road to hell is paved with.
Ow! No, that's thinking with your dipstick!
So why did you hit me?
'Cause you were thinking with your dipstick, Jimmy!
Your stubbornness at wanting to help others who would have deserted you is a weakness. Fate leads us inevitably to solitude, and in one's final moments, one is always alone. You can't escape it forever, it will always find its way.
Damn, Truth Edward is a dick to regular Edward.
Oh, that's nasty.
Apparently the Outsider is an eldritch god since it appears they share a dimension. You know, that actually makes a lot of sense.
I followed your wanderings, your choices, your attempts to free yourself from destiny. But it is unavoidable. And as I predicted, you have come to free me.
A person often meets his destiny on the road he took to avoid it.
The voice. I can't hear the voice anymore.
Speak for yourself, dude. Does anyone else hear that? What? Of course I'm trying to tell them how great you are. Don't worry. Yes, of course, Master.
You are trapped.
The miraculous catch was a trap. Leviathan wanted to be found.
It's a trap!
It will soon be time, Edward Pierce.
You are dead. None of this is real. I saw you dead, as I see you now. Am I crazy too?
Okay. I suppose since Deadman succumbed to eldritch horrors, I'll be taking over for the rest of the video. Ugh, I have to be positive and do dumb jokes, don't I? I hate you so much.
You survived. Don't you understand? You couldn't die. You will stay alive until you've fulfilled your destiny.
That's the funny thing about Lovecraft. It's not extraordinary people that get chosen for these things. It's ordinary folk who are usually troubled themselves, making it easier for possession.
Reality as you know it stops here.
Buddy, I'm pretty sure we abandoned that long ago.
The serum extracted from Leviathan's oil bestows the power of life. To me, my body is nothing but the mortal vessel of my conscience. To you, it contains more answers and secrets than your insignificant mind can grasp.
I feel like he's legitimately trying to teach us and burn us at the same time.
You don't have the slightest idea of what you speak, of what I've been through. I have sacrificed my life to the one who sleeps. My marriage, my family, my own flesh. Why didn't Sarah choose me? Why is it your damn face on her painting?
Charles Hawkins is complicated. He's saying all this like he's the good guy, like he deserves all the praise. But all he does is terrible things. It almost makes you feel sorry for him. As you ascend to the top of the cliff, to the ritual site, the score swells and becomes more tense. The way the ritual is scored, mixed with all the visuals of it being performed, is phenomenal. The climax of the ritual, mixed with the briefest of appearances by Cthulhu himself, is great. Honestly, Not showing us more than a second or two of him was the best choice possible. Aw, that's sweet. The after-credits scene is sheer brutality, with everyone beating the shit out of each other Fight Club style. Okay, now that we have talked extensively about the things you saw, and you got properly medicated, how are you feeling?
Much better, thank you, Neg.
No more visions or voices?
Nope, I think I'm past all that.
Good, because if you ever make me be positive again, I'll call that damn thing back myself and make this last trip seem like prancing through a meadow. Got that?
Okay. I promise I'll never let an eldritch god take over my head again. But I do have to cover the sinking city at some point.
I don't care. Don't let it happen again.
Okay, I'm gonna go do the review now.
You do that.
Aside from losing my sanity towards the end, I had a lot of fun playing Call of Cthulhu. It's refreshing to play something that isn't focused on combat every now and again. I mean, the majority of games, especially the ones that I play, have some form of combat in them, but it's nice when a game such as this focuses on detective work and environmental world building. The story was alright, I suppose. It has quite a few plot holes and is incoherent at some points that make it more confusing than it needs to be. But, with it being a game about Lovecraft Mythos, which is all about mind-bending feats happening, I can't be too surprised that it doesn't make sense sometimes. The music is appropriately creepy and horrific, with it enhancing the parts you're supposed to be frightened at. Other than that, there's not a lot to say. They used the one track that's playing to great effect, but sometimes it felt a little overused. The gameplay can feel a little chunky at times, but considering it is supposed to be paced in a way that's making you not rush into things, that's understandable. There's not a lot outside investigating and walking, but it does those things well. The graphics have almost an oil painting quality to them, which is apt considering the main focus is on Sarah Hawkins' paintings. As I've said before, I'll applaud an art style over realism. While some of the models do look incredibly similar to one another, it definitely has a unique feel to it. In closing, I actually had a lot of fun with Call of Cthulhu. It's a unique experience for sure, but I don't think it would be enjoyable for everyone with its slow pace and general lack of action going on. Actually, towards the beginning, I even had a little bit of a hard time getting into it. I don't think it was until probably after the escape from the asylum and closer to when the Shambler showed up is when I really actually started picking up the game and playing it for longer periods of time. Up until that point, for me, it was kind of a slow burn. But then after you got to the Shambler and then things started really heating up with the plot, that's when I started picking it up, and that's like halfway through the game. So I can kind of understand if some people didn't like it. And I believe this also was done on a pretty cheap budget, what with it being close to the board game, and I actually believe the people who own the board game, I believe they actually funded this, so with there not being a lot of money to go to it, it explains some of the jank, and it's got a kind of charm to it because of that, I think. Like I said, it's not the most technically in-depth game out there, or not the most action-packed or most fun to play all the time, but it's definitely good for at least a playthrough. And I will say that if you like more story-driven games, especially the horror ones, you should give it a try at the very least. Thank you for watching, and try not to die out there.
Smutny, magnet, smutny,